Okay, welcome to the special interview. We have a special situation here this week. China imposed export control or ban of two critical metals to the rest of the world. That China controls about 80 to 90% worldwide production. Those are very, very critical and aim to strike at the heart of the semiconductor industry in the United States and beyond. So we got a lot of questions from my subscribers, and I understand also from First Tellurium, they also get a lot of questions. So let's get started. It's my great pleasure to introduce First Tellurium CEO, who happened to be the largest shareholder, Tyrone Docherty. And he has been running the company since very beginning. So Ty, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Chen. It's always a pleasure to talk about First Tellurium.
Okay, great. Yeah, can you tell us what is Tellurium? A lot of people don't know how to spell it. So can you tell us what is Tellurium, who makes Tellurium, and what is Tellurium use?
Yeah, well, it's a critical metal. You know, it's the 8th or 9th rarest metal in the world, and it's used primarily of late in solar panels, cadmium tellurium solar panels, which is the specialty of First Solar, the large U.S. corporation. That's about 60% of the market. Sorry, 40% of the market. 30% of the market's in thermoelectrics, and there's some other markets. And what's got us attention as well lately is that the University of British Columbia has patented a new lithium tellurium battery, which is supposedly far superior to a lithium-ion battery. So if and when that comes to market, it'll make the demand even greater for a mineral that's in scarce supply as we speak.
Okay, great. Kyle, who makes most of tellurium in the world? We kind of know the concept, but maybe you can elaborate on it.
Well, like all the critical metals, most of it comes from China. As a matter of fact, they're responsible for about 60%, that's 60% of the tellurium supplied in the world. And that's one of the reasons why about 18 months ago, the U.S. government was hoping to get other countries with properties with tellurium to get them going, because they're going to need that supply, because there was always the risk that the U.S. government would stop importing of tellurium. And now with what's happened recently with the Chinese deciding they weren't going to export it, it's a bit of a Mexican battle, if you will. And we're really good in the fact that we're the only junior in the world that's been looking for tellurium for the last few years. So we're well ahead of the curve.
Well, excellent. Excellent. Just let me, make people understand a little bit better. So the First Solar, the United States largest solar panel producer, is directly in competition with Chinese solar panel producers. And then they use a lot of tellurium. They're the biggest tellurium user in the world. So if China were to restrict tellurium export, that would be strike at the heart of the solar panel industry to the benefit of Chinese solar panel industry.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And that's why I think starting in 2006, 7, First Solar had a worldwide expedition looking for potential suppliers down the road of tellurium. And then they decided that they would get out of the mining business and just buy tellurium off the market. So we positioned ourselves by taking a property that used to belong to them in Colorado, which is superb, and our own high-grade property here in British Columbia. It's also mixed up with high-grade gold and silver. So we got the best of both worlds, great precious metals and this wonderful mineral tellurium. So we're sitting very, very good compared to anyone else.
Wonderful. So basically, let me understand, you took over the best of the tellurium claim used to own by First Solar. When they get off the mining business, you took it, right? So that you own the best claim of tellurium in the world.
Yeah, but to put things in perspective, Chen, is that in North America alone, that they looked at over 100 properties that had tellurium in it, and their number one property by far was this Klondike property in Colorado, which we now control. And the reason we control is that when they got out of the mining business, they sold the property to their head of exploration, who formed the company with his family and friends, and then approached us a few years ago to see if we'd be interested. And I think 2.5 years ago, we finally came to an agreement, and now we have that under control. We plan on exploring it and developing it, and it's just the results are on another planet compared to what we have in Canada, and we're high grade in Canada.
Well, excellent, excellent. I understand in the United States, in Toledo, Ohio, Pacific, they have a tellurium consortium funded by the U.S. government. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, the U.S. government gave them, I think, $20 million about a year ago to help with the advancement of tellurium, looking for other properties, other potential suppliers, mainly domestic, and of course from friendly countries such as Canada. So they've been working together with First Solar, who's been the main beneficiary. But there's a number of scientists working to figure out where can we get tellurium from that isn't reliant on China. So we're very fortunate in that situation.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. You seem to be the go-to guy in terms of tellurium. Are you approached by any government to work out certain deals?
Well, I don't know if they're considered government. There's certain government entities or people behind, which can't really get into because, unless we sign something that, is binding, then I'd have to report it. So all I can say is that obviously, if you're the only company that has tellurium and people understand how valuable it's going to be in the future, people with money and with foresight will want to get involved with a company that has these types of properties available to them. Just like if you could imagine someone who's looking for cobalt, there's probably 2 or 3 dozen cobalt companies out there and 2 or 3 dozen graphite companies probably getting interest. We're the only tellurium company. And that's why I joke we should call ourselves first and only tellurium. But because we have these 2 phenomenal properties of a critical metal that no one else has, it shouldn't be unexpected that people with money knock on the door and say, hey, would you like to talk to us about the future? So my attitude's always been, Chen, is that we're going to drill it up this summer, increase the size of the reserve that we know we have. And then we're in a bigger position to say, okay, now we have more ounces of gold and silver, more kilos of tellurium. Now let's figure out where the bidding starts, or we just keep drilling more next year because we know we're going to increase it as well. So we're in a very good situation. We're not hurting for money. I've made a little bit of money in my last deal. So if there's any emergency funds needed, I throw it in and away we go.
Well, you have been almost in every financing so far. The company was founded.
Yeah, I think between my wife and I, we own between 13 and 14% of the company, not including the warrants. I think if you include the warrants, I think we'd be somewhere around 21, 22, 23%. So I don't sell. If anyone looks at the insiders, as a matter of fact, just think a week ago, I bought another 50,000 shares at 12 cents. I believe in the deal. And that's why, it's the other CEOs that don't own a penny says wondering, well, are their interests really aligned with the shareholders? And people can say, well, no matter what Mr. Docherty does, he's obviously buying shares, so he's aligned with us. And that's the way I do it.
Good, good. I like to invest along with the CEO and who is the largest shareholder.
Right.
So excellent. So you have these 2 wonderful projects. So you can start drilling this year. What's your plan, and what kind of time in news flow?
Well, I think next week or so, within the next 10 days, we're going to be sending up 5 graduating student geologists of Dr. Lee Grote, who's our qualified person. They're going to map the whole area, take soil samplings, and I understand they're going to start taking rock samples off the porphyry because both Dr. Grote and my chairman, Tony, who are geological experts, are so excited about that area. So it's never been looked at in its entirety before because up until recently, it's been covered by snow and glaciers. But thanks to Mother Nature and global warming, that's one of the benefits is that you can get to properties that were previously unattainable. So they're going to go up starting in 10 days, and then we're going to follow that up in a couple of weeks with induced polarization on the property to see what's underneath the surface, because we know we have this porphyry, but what else is there, which is very exciting. So, and then we have that, then we'll follow that up with the drill program, which, as you know, we've mentioned, we own our own drill now. We bought from a group in Alaska just so that we can control when the drilling program is and not, if high costs go out of control, we sort of make sure that we take care of all those ends so there's no surprises for us. And then when we're finished up there, we'll sort of head down to Colorado and see what we can do there, so we'll see.
Well, great. So maybe when in the winter you can move on to Colorado. Is Colorado can be drilled longer season than BC?
Yes, a much longer season. We're limited in Canada because we're up a mountain. That we're limited for really a 3.5 month season. Where I've been told in Colorado, where we're situated down there, it's easily a 10-month exploration window for us. So we're not constrained at all. And I should mention, Chen, just for the viewers, that because we are, quote unquote, the only tellurium company out there, people that have some interesting tellurium properties are starting to approach us because they're doing their Google searches with tellurium. So there are some interesting properties that come our way. They're not on our radar as we speak, but I wouldn't be surprised if something tickles our fancy in a month, 2 months, 3 months. So if we add another property, it might be because it's outstanding tellurium potential. So it's not going to take away a lot of our budget. But if we can put it under wraps on a relatively cheap basis, then there's something to look at down the road.
Oh, excellent. Well, sounds good. I mean, you have more to add to potentially new interest, new investors, interesting party?
Yeah, no, there's a couple other things that we work on, and unlike a lot of junior companies, there's never any rumors that leak out where people say, buy on rumors, sell on news. That never happens with us. So sometimes it takes people by surprise. Well, we didn't know that was happening. So there's lots of stuff going on behind the scenes on a number of different fronts that I can't talk about. And when we put out a news release, people don't have to guess, well, is this true? It's 100% true, and that's why we wait. Just like, for example, working on Salmon Gold with Apple and Tiffany and Company. No one knew anything until we announced it 4 years ago, and it caught people by surprise. So there's lots of stuff going behind the scenes that I think has a chance to greatly enhance the value of the company. Okay,
great. Finally, last year you have a huge round to almost $1. So and then it tend to be your stock tend to be moving very violently with any slightly news or some interest. So right now seems to be a good time with coming news. You have the drilling and especially Tellurium, if the United States government decide to get involved with, right?
Yeah.
So you're working with government right now.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, as we speak doing this interview, my chairman, Tony, is meeting with the Canadian government representative who seemed very interested in critical metals as they made that public. But Tellurium was sort of an education process for them as well. As you mentioned, not too many people know it, but they understand how big it is in solar panels through First Solar, and then with the University of British Columbia on this new phenomenal battery, they're willing to sit down and talk and figure out if we can fit in with them somehow. So we'll see what happens, And to talk to the stock price, just so that people know that follow charts, is that, we had a great run there starting in January till the end of February of 2021. End of February, and that's because of we announced this new lithium tellurium battery from the University of British Columbia, which is far superior to lithium ion. And then the stock plummeted, and you can go check the morning that it happened. That was the morning that Russia invaded Ukraine. So all the people that were buying in Europe decided to sell, and I don't blame them. But that's the only reason it came down. If there was no invasion, I'm sure we'd be up at the 55 or 60 cents or higher. But these things happen, and people always think there's something going wrong. Not at all. And just to let people know, I bought, I think it was 40,000 shares at 48 cents on the way up, and haven't sold the shares since and added a lot more. So either I know something's good or I'm a dummy, and hopefully it's the former, not the latter.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good luck. Always nice to have a CEO as a strong shareholder.
Yeah, anytime, Chen. Thank you.